Hi, I'm Gary Warner, and today I wanted to tell you about an exciting new project from Intelligence for Good. We're calling it 20 Targets for Takedown. If you're not familiar with Intelligence for Good, it's a nonprofit that was created to fight one problem. With internet-enabled crimes, we like to say that there are crimes that have no natural predator. What we mean by that is if you had a criminal who is attacking financial institutions, the banks have a natural interest in going after that criminal. If you have a criminal that was fighting or attacking critical infrastructure, our government might have a vested interest in going after that criminal. But what we found is that there are certain categories of internet-based crimes that don't seem to have any natural predator until now. Intelligence for Good is hoping to raise up volunteers and contributors to find ways to fund projects like 20 Targets for Takedown. Let me tell you more about it. We're going after two categories of crime with this first project. The first of those is a financial crime. The Internet Crime and Complaint Center is a unit within the FBI that takes complaints not necessarily from businesses, but often from consumers. When a consumer is a victim of a cybercrime, many police agencies don't know how to fight those, and they refer people to say, why don't you make a complaint to the FBI by filling out a form at the Internet Crime and Complaint Center, which we highly encourage. The problem is that what happens after those crimes are reported? Often we find that they aren't being attacked at an individual basis. Look at the statistics for the last reported statistics, which were from 2022. The top crime from 2017 until 2021 was business email compromise. And that's one of the areas that we will be addressing from Intelligence for Good. But BEC stole $2.7 billion from Americans that was reported to IC3 in 2022. Investment scams, though, went from 2021 number of $1.4 billion to a 2022 number of $3.3 billion. That is the number one financial crime that's attacking our citizens right now. Now, all of those other crimes, we'll be coming after them too, but we're going to start with investment scams. One of the special situations with investment scams that caused us to be interested in this, if you look at the elder fraud report from IC3, they shared with us that 88,000 people who were over the age of 60 lost $3.1 billion. But look at the numbers on investment scams. In 2021, investment scams against the elderly was barely over $200 million. But in 2022, it was just under $1 billion in investment scam losses against the elderly. The other category that we're going to be looking at is still an internet-enabled crime, but it's not one that you would think of as a cybercrime. It has to do with opioid sales. The Centers for Disease Control says that Americans are dying at a horrible rate due to opioid-involved overdoses. In 2021, the number that they shared was 80,411 Americans. Now, to put that in perspective, that's 230 Americans dying every day from opioid overdoses. I still am very active in counterterrorism situations. I have this as my cover image on my Twitter account right now, has been for years. 2,996 people died in the Twin Towers attack on 9/11. But if you think about that with regard to the opioid crisis, that's a Twin Towers worth of people dying every 13 days in America because opioids are so easily obtained. How is that an internet-based crime? My colleague, Dr. Elizabeth Gardner, and I have been doing a lot of work on looking at the internet sales of illicit drugs. She's a drug chemist who specializes in synthetic drugs and emerging drugs of abuse. But we've partnered together on fake pharmacies. You can see a little story about that on the shortened bit.ly URL there, UAB Fake Pharma. And also on how we can use technology to help technology companies reduce the sales of opioids and the availability of opioids on their platforms. We were featured on BBC's Click, and you see the shortened URL there as well. BBC Click had a story called Can Technology Fight the Opioid Crisis, where they came to our lab and interviewed Dr. Gardner and I. Now, our most recent project was actually called What You Can't Buy Can't Kill You. And what we found as we were doing this study is that a tremendous number of these drugs, yes, people buy them from a street dealer sometimes, but many of the people who are dying from these drugs are the ones who are going online and with a simple search engine search are able to identify websites where they can buy illicit opioids, none of which are FDA controlled and many of which have components that will kill them. That's our first target. 20 targets for Takedown and the opioids crisis. This project is going to start by sharing every week 20 targets for Takedown. Now, how many are there? We know of at least 3,000 websites that are selling illicit opioids. But what we're going to do is focus each week on 20. We believe that while my lab can't take down all of these, with a collection of volunteers, perhaps yourself, we might be able to identify trusted parties within these registrars and hosting companies. So we're going to share a list of 20 domains, where were they registered and when, which will tell you that some of these have been online for a long time. For example, on this sheet, you see Reddit Pharmacy has been online since 2019. Mexican Pharmacy Store has been online since July of 2020 and is currently hosted at Google. The hosting location, we know that Cloudflare is a reverse proxy. That's not the actual host, but perhaps Cloudflare has an idea of how we can get to the true host. Some of these are going to be easy, such as Google. If you can help Google convince themselves that Mexican Pharmacy Store is not a great thing to host, that's fabulous. But HostSailor, for example, AS60117, HostSailor is a known bulletproof host. They specialize in hosting illicit content that won't be taken down by them. We need a different level of engagement, but perhaps you have ideas on how to help with that. So in each week, when we drop the 20 targets deck, we'll share with you the website and a screenshot. How did we find it? Where is it registered and where is it hosted? We'll also provide a piece of evidence, a screenshot that shows the sale of opioids to make sure that each of these actually is advertising opioids for sale. We're also going after crypto scams. So each week, in addition to the 20 targets for takedown opioid sales, there will also be a 20 targets for takedown crypto scams. In the same way, we're going to offer what is the domain, where is it registered, and where is it hosted. And instead of showing proof of opioid sales, we'll be sharing with you some of the false claims that make us convinced that this is a site that is an illicit investment program and should be taken down. If you're claiming that someone can make 210% interest in 11 days, you might be a crypto scam. We hope that you'll want to help us by volunteering. We hope that you'll want to help us by sharing your network. But one of our projects is also that we want to build our workforce of people who are dedicated, where their job is helping us to terminate these domains. And for that, currently, we're using students who are working under my guidance on the crypto scam side and under my colleague, Dr. Beth Gardner's guidance on the opioid sales scams. We're paying these students, and we'd love to pay more. We hope that you'll be considerate, especially if you have a foundation or a corporate charity that you could use to make a donation. We would very much appreciate that. If you'd like to learn more about Intelligence for Good, or if you have ideas on how we can help, contact me, contact Ronnie Takazowski, or contact Robin Pugh, or send us an email at info@intelligenceforgood.org. We're very excited about this project. Think about taking down 20 domains a week. That's 1,000 opioid sales domains and 1,000 crypto scam domains this year. And we believe as you join us and share your network and share your resources, we'll be able to escalate that to do even more good. Thanks for listening, and we really do appreciate your partnership.